Hello, everyone. This is Warhawk Beyond 2040, and welcome to a very special edition of the movie review series. And today I am joined once again with the one and only, the badass himself, Rex the Boss 11. How you doing, brother?
I am good, my brother. Hey guys, how's it going? Let's talk about the Man of Steel.
Alrighty then. So, Man of Steel came out in 2013, 9 years ago already, almost. And this is the first installment in what everybody refers to as the DC Extended Universe. So, this is a reboot of Superman Returns, and this features Henry Cavill as Superman in the main lead role. So, Rex, we'll start with you first. What was your thoughts on the announcement of Man of Steel, and how did you first hear about this?
Firstly, disclaimer for all the angry Superman fans out there right now that are screaming into their mobile phones and devices. Yes, we also know that the DCEU is also called the Snyderverse. So you can
Yes.
calm down right now. Well, I first heard about this movie because, of course, the success of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies had brought to light a potential, resurgence of some of these DC characters. Now, it was pretty obvious by 2012 what Marvel was doing.
Yeah.
There'd been some suggestions around this time that DC was going to attempt to do the same thing, and to even link in our separate series of what happened to the Arrowverse. We all know that this was the time around 2012, 2013 where DC went into full overdrive of what can we actually put onto television and into films. And I really had some massive expectations for a return for Superman. And, we'll get to it along the way. But, what did I think of this film? Well, it's an origin movie for
Kind
Superman
of.
that features an origin, but also we don't really get a resolution. I feel like, and this is my biggest problem, even just watching this film a few days ago. I actually feel that we don't actually get a resolution or anything in this film. Like, where's that moment of, ultimate decision making that these powered people, because this isn't just the case of, Batman wears a suit, etc. This is Spider-Man and Superman and the ones that have got the characters in, whether it's Marvel or DC, these characters that have got actual powers. Something happens to them, the experiment. This is a bit of a different situation, of course, because it's not an experimental thing. It said this person is obviously alien, he's not from this world.
No.
I just feel like the whole movie, and I know that we're starting off negative here, guys. This is going to be overall quite a negative thing. So if you're looking for a positive review and give look back and retrospective of the Man of Steel film, then you may as well stop listening right now, because this is not going to be positive, not from my end anyway. I just feel like there was no, do you know where I'm coming from? There was
Yeah,
no
totally.
resolution of him becoming Superman. Like, right, so this guy's got powers. Can you even refer to this as Superman? Because
Well,
there's no relative like link to Superman. Like, I felt like in watching the original films and even in Superman Return, there was an element of, well, he has to accept that he is something different, and
yeah,
then he has to become, of course, what we know, this Superman. But in this film, I feel like we just don't even get anything. Oh, you've got powers. Do you want to do anything with them? Well, maybe I do, maybe I don't. We'll find out along the way. Like, yawn. Honestly, I'm going to be realistic now. The darker tones of this film worked for me, but then they completely forgot that this was a Superman film. This
yeah,
isn't Batman. This isn't Solomon Grundy. This isn't Deathstroke. Like, of course it's not Deathstroke, but this isn't Deathstroke. This isn't the darker cat. This is Superman. We haven't even got anywhere near at this point. We're getting the origin. We're nowhere near Bizarro or Dark Superman, any of this. And they give this film a darker tone. But I feel like they don't give Superman any resolution as Superman. Like, is this actually even Superman? Because where it's called the Man of Steel. Like I don't see any recollection, or just because he's wearing a suit. Like, come on. For me, there's no Superman in this film. There's just a guy who's got powers.
yeah. I totally see what you mean.
Clark Kent just has powers in this movie and happens to be the most powerful man in the world. And then the whole thing, and you know, I'll let you speak in a second, but the whole thing with the dad, we'll get to that. The whole
Yeah,
dad dying, I could have broken stuff in my house because of that. There is no way, if I'm a superhero, that I am letting my own dad die in front of my own two eyes. Absolutely not. Like, no way. I'd rather see. And of course, the big thing that I pick up on, and I said this to you before, the death count. So
oh,
Lois Lane is worth more than all of those people that die. And obviously, we'll get to this along the way. But yeah, overall, I did not enjoy this film. This is, for me, it's not as corny and as campy, but it's as bad as Batman and Robin and Catwoman. It's not a good DC movie. This is not. It's not a terrible, terrible, unwatchable film like some of them other ones are.
mm,
I mean, I'll give this a rating right now. This is a 3 out of 10 for me. Like, I was
oh,
scratching my head. I was confused at some of the things I didn't understand. Like, how quickly has he gone from being nothing to being Superman, despite the fact that we're getting flashbacks where he was getting powers when he was like 7. But yeah, honestly, Warhawk, talk now. Like, take over, talk. Like,
okay.
7, 8, and 8 more minute run.
No, it's all good. Um, the first time I became aware of Man of Steel, I went to see The Dark Knight Rises, and before the movie started, there was a teaser, about a 30-second teaser, and it just showed like someone flying around in the sky into outer space, and it said Man of Steel coming soon. I thought, oh wow, we're actually getting a new Superman movie. I thought, all right, it's been a long time since Superman Returns, so I'm quite excited for this.
Surely it can't be that bad. Surely it can't be that bad. sorry, sorry, but I had to say that. Like, oh, it's been a long time since Superman returns. Yeah,
Yeah,
surely it
yeah,
can't.
no, it'd been a long time.
Especially after the 3 Batman movies. Come on, did you ever expect this film to be what it was after the 3 Batman movies?
No, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect, really, because, like I said, it'd been such a long time since we had a Superman movie for the big screen. So I was quite, I was quite intrigued, and I was a little bit bummed out that we weren't going to get Brandon Routh back. I was kind of hoping we'd see him in another Superman movie, but they announced Henry Cavill was playing Superman. Didn't really know a lot about him. I know he appeared in, I think, was it The Tudors, but I didn't watch that show. But I've seen his name come up a couple of times, and I saw Man of Steel at the cinema on a date with a girl. She was very much into DC as well. So at the time I saw it, I quite enjoyed it because I was severely disappointed that Superman Returns didn't have a lot of action. But I thought Brandon Routh put in a solid performance. Man of Steel had everything I wanted to see in the Superman movie. Quite liked it. And then when I watched it again on Blu-ray, which I bought like years after, I remember watching it again. I thought, well, I still liked it, but yeah, there was a lot of issues I had, and obviously we'll get to those issues as we go along. I mean,
I'm almost certain that the cinema would have helped because this is one of the only hero films that I've not watched at the cinema in the last decade. And
oh, you didn't see this at the cinema?
no, no, I didn't watch this at the cinema. I watched this before. I watched this before Dawn of Justice. I'm almost certain Dawn of Justice came out, didn't it? And then Wonder Woman came out after that.
No, not quite. Yeah, you're right. Dawn of Justice came straight after Man of Steel. I believe Suicide Squad came out the same year as Dawn
Yeah,
of Justice.
Suicide Squad came out. Yeah,
Yeah, the same year
yeah.
as Dawn of Justice.
The Batman. I remember seeing the scene with Batman flying around on the back of the he's with the Batmobile and he gets involved, he jumps on the car, whatever. The scene with that in there.
Yeah.
I remember looking and thinking, wow, they're actually building something here, which is could feature all. And this way, I started getting locked into the Justice League thing.
Mm.
But then someone was like, "Oh, did you watch Man of Steel?" And I was like, "No." And they were like, "Oh, well, you need to watch that because that's like the return of Superman." Now,
Yeah.
bear in mind, this as well. I didn't watch Superman Returns until earlier on this year. Um, Superman just had this thing with me because of the bad Nuclear Man film.
The less said about that, the better.
Being overly repeated, on TV in Britain, it was like I don't understand this guy. I don't understand this character. And because I was promised in the 90s that Nicolas Cage would end up playing Superman, and that never happened. I'd kind of given up on Superman. I never watched the Brandon Routh films, and then I think it was Batman Begins I didn't watch at the cinema, and then about 2007, someone was like, "Oh, I think it was when The Dark Knight was coming out. They were doing reruns at the cinema of Batman Begins. You
Yeah,
know, one of the second cinemas, not the main ones that you get. You get the local cinemas, don't you? Or the more local ones.
yeah,
They
yeah,
were
yeah.
doing, like, repeats of Batman Begins, and I went and watched that, and that blew my mind. I couldn't believe that I'd missed a Batman film 2 years. That film blew my mind. Yeah, and I was like, wow. And then obviously The Dark Knight came out, and then The Dark Knight Rises came out. Pretty sure there was a Green Lantern film somewhere squashed in between those, but
Yeah, that one came out in 2011.
you knew that Batman, they had something with this Batman character, and you knew, right, these are actually better than Batman and Batman Returns. There's no argument here. These are way better films, yeah. And I think by the time that I seen Man of Steel being in production, I feel that there was no, how did they fall? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can understand, like I said, going back to cinema thing, like, because I didn't watch this at the cinema, I was actually completely the opposite to you. I watched this and I was horrified with what this was on DVD. I was like, huh? Like, doing research, surely this came out before The Dark Knight Rises, because this is terrible. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. But
Actually, it came out after, straight about a
it
year after.
came out a year and a bit after, and I am shocked that the Warner Brothers allowed this, because it's not a terribly unwatchable movie. It's
No,
just bad for the Dark Knight Rises and Dark Knight standards. It's actually a really bad film when you compare it to what it's actually going up against. And the Marvel films at the time, let's be honest, it's terrible compared to them.
oh, absolutely. One of the issues I had with Man of Steel was, anyone knows, I'm a big fan of Superman. Certain villains I like, but a lot of the Superman villains I don't care for that much. I would still go on record to say that between Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man, Batman and Spider-Man still have the best rogues gallery ever. They announced that General Zod was going to be the main villain. My initial reaction was, again, nothing against General Zod, but we've already seen
Yawn.
General Zod in two Superman movies.
Yawn.
Exactly, tired of I like General Zod, but tired of seeing General Zod all the time. And Smallville did a great job with the Zod character. They went with a more younger Zod, showing him in the past before he became a general. He was like a young major, like a slash cadet. I like that. I still like that incarnation of Zod. And they announced that Michael Shannon was going to play General Zod, and I saw the trailer of General Zod, and I thought, okay, this is not the Terrence Stamp Zod or the Callum Blue Zod from Smallville. This Zod was really, really intense. I thought, okay, all right, I'll buy. This actually looks like a good Zod, but my only argument was, why are we seeing the same villain again? Why can't we get a Brainiac? Why can't we get a Metallo? Why can't we get Bizarro? I mean, I've always wanted to see a guy play Superman, Clark Kent, and Bizarro in a movie. Obviously, we wouldn't get that until Superman and Lois years later. But I don't know, really. Just the choice of main villain. I wouldn't have picked Zod, even though Michael Shannon did a superb job, as General Zod. I wouldn't have picked Zod as the main villain. And also, we have Kevin Costner played Jonathan Kent. I'm sorry, but John Schneider from Smallville is a tough act to beat. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. I mean, they chose somebody who obviously had recognition over somebody who had the feels for the movie, probably.
Yeah.
I didn't like the fact that Russell Crowe was his dad either. I didn't like that his Kryptonian dad.
No,
Uh,
I wouldn't have
well,
picked Russell Crowe because to me, Russell Crowe, when I look at him, because I watched Man of Steel again just last night, as a refresher before we did this, I watched him. He was all right, but to me, he was just, Gladiator, because Gladiator was such a huge film. To me, Russell Crowe will always be Gladiator, so I couldn't really shake that off.
is it just me, or is that fake over the top British accent? It's really annoying, isn't it? And it's
What?
offensive. It sounds offensive to me. Honestly,
Russell Crowe.
so, bro, yeah, just listening back to the way that he speaks in Gladiator and in that film, Like, and I'm saying this to all the producers of the world. Russell Crowe is not English; he's Australian. Stop
Absolutely.
speak in an English accent. It's rude. Like, honestly, I don't speak anything like he tries to speak English. I don't think anyone in this country talks like that.
I think what they were trying to do, going back to Russell Crowe as Jor-El, I think they were trying to go. I don't know what they were trying to go for. They were clearly going for something. They were trying to go for either the Marlon Brando Jor-El. I mean, he wasn't British. He was American. And I think they were trying to go for the Terence Stamp Jor-El, who did the voice of him in the Smallville series. So it was like they were trying to go for both, but they couldn't decide which way to go. And there were just some lines because, Zod, this is genocide. I was like, oh god, that's awful. It was just awful. The accent. Nah, I mean, as I said, Russell Crowe didn't do a bad job, but I wouldn't have picked him still.
wife, husband to a murdered wife, and and father to a murdered son. That's all I hear when I hear him speak as Jor-El. Maximus, Decimus, Meridius. It's the same thing. Someone's gone to this guy and said, "Yo, Russell, that accent that you do when you play Gladiator, can we get a little bit of that, please?" And
Yeah, sure.
It's quite offensive, to be honest, and I don't like it. But I didn't like them casting them roles. I didn't like them as
Yeah, an all-star cast. I mean, look at who you got here. You have Henry Cavill as Superman, Amy Adams as Lois. We'll get to her in a minute. Michael Shannon as Zod, Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent. I want to hear your thoughts on him in a second. And you got Diane Lane as Martha Kent, and Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. Really good actor. Wasted in this movie, I think, but we'll get to him in a minute. What was your thoughts on, Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent? Because I wouldn't have picked him personally.
I picked him. I definitely wouldn't have picked him. I'm not the biggest fan of Kevin Costner. I don't like his films, and at least Russell Crowe had some blockbuster films in the previous decade.
Oh, absolutely.
Where
Some
on
big
earth has
films.
Costner been in the previous decade?
Oh, no.
I feel like this was one of those castings that they never expected to get anyone of the level of Kevin Costner to play this character, and he just says, "I'll take the role." Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, he was so desperate for the role, he just took it anyway. I feel like there was too much Uncle Ben in this. Like, slow the fuck down. You're not the guy with the powers here. Like, like in Smallville, his dad sort of realizes real early on, don't he, that you can't control
everything.
The way that Clark is going to react. He's got the right to react however he wants because he is the most powerfulest person on this planet. So
absolutely,
however he wants to react to every situation, in regardless of how you would react. You can't tell him how to react, and I feel like that's one of the biggest problems. This film completely separates him, and he does a lot of pondering and wondering about his parents that he's never met before, and that starts to drive me mad. Like, as annoying as Kevin Costner is, Clark does a lot of wondering about Zor-El and the mum that he never met. Like, yo, focus on the task at hand here.
I mean, with Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent, and when you put him up against John Schneider from Smallville, who played Jonathan Kent, when I look at John Schneider's Jonathan Kent, he's someone you wish he was your dad. He felt like a dad, giving out good advice, giving you a hug, just being an all-round great dad. Kevin Costner's Jonathan Kent, he just stands there looking all confused. Like, for example, there was when I was watching this last night where young Clark saved the school bus and he saved everyone from drowning, and he sits there agonising, "Oh, what was I supposed to do, Dad? Just let them die?" And Jonathan Kent from Smallville said, "No, son, you shouldn't have let them die, but you need to be careful because people like Lex Luthor, if they find out who you are, it's over." But with Kevin Costner, he's like, "Yeah, maybe you should have let them die." I'm like, I was like, oh my god, who cast this guy to play Jonathan Kent? That's not my Jonathan Kent, not one bit.
Either the writing for that character is not good either.
No, and it just only gets worse as the film progresses. It was not good.
Theory of, right, so you're You're calling the shots for the most powerful person in the world, yeah? But yeah, like, yeah, finding this child in the middle of a field that was burning wasn't a big enough sign for you
Mm.
to realize, you know, it's 18 years ago that you were going to get some kind of problems eventually.
The other thing as well with Man of Steel, like you said earlier, it is an origin story, but it's not a full origin story. We get like half of origin here and a flashback here. It's just like a mishmash of flashbacks all across the film. And there's one other bit I had an issue with. I wanted to bring this up to you. Right. We see Krypton at the beginning. Quite an epic start to the film. Kind of reminded me of Star Wars Attack of the Clones with all the giant pterodactyls and stuff. Then we get to the present and we see Clark. He's like working on the boats and he's got no powers and he's got a beard. They never really explain that to you. I want to hear your thoughts about this. Did they ever explain why Clark had no powers working on the docks? Because that really confused me, even watching it again.
They never explained it. I mean, I assume like they want you to believe that his powers are not full-fledged, but then they contradict that completely by showing us that he was having things going on when he was young.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what's going off? I mean,
That question gets asked a lot throughout this movie. What's going on?
exactly. This was booked like, you know, a mid-card WWE feud. This was booked. Don't ask any questions outside of what your common sense is towards this genre.
Take it as it is and don't ask questions.
Honestly, just take it and don't you dare ask any questions about this element or this issue or this situation ever.
Yeah, I felt that way as well. What was your thoughts on Michael Shannon as Zod?
Thought he did really well. The acting's not the problem in this film.
No. Michael Shannon was phenomenal
It's
as
definitely a
Zod.
problem. Yeah. But
I
like you
thought his Zod was written quite well, actually, considering.
well, yeah, I feel that that's the reason why Kevin Costner's character is written so badly, because there is no room in this world for him to have a split between two fathers. Like, what is that? I've never picked up on that ever from an adult Superman thing. From Smallville, we dealt with that, didn't we? The split between Superman wanting to be with the human version of Superman and, of course, the Kryptonian. Yeah,
Yes, we got that quite a lot.
we dealt with that dilemma in Smallville.
Yes.
Why on earth Clark is still dealing with this in this film and then openly breaks the rules multiple times to see, you know, people, the way people react, but at the same time, then the one time that he should actually break the rule and save his dad, he doesn't. And it's just like, but overall, like I said, it's not a negative toward the acting. Michael Shannon and Kevin Costner weren't, they obviously were being told what to do.
Yes.
This is the thing, you can't, you can kind of tell when an actor's just not at it, yeah, in a film. It's not the case of that. It's a case of the writing didn't feature enough for two different dads.
No.
Like, or if you just combine their story arc as one story arc, it would have made a lot more sense. Like, as it like, you know, to have those two. So I feel like we suffered in the long run of the film because all of the other characters then had to be on complete fire. You know what I mean? Like Michael Shannon had to give his absolute best performance.
And he did.
You can kind of see like Lawrence Fishburne's just not having any of it. He's just like, yo, this is not going to be good. Yeah, and you can just tell. Whereas Michael Shannon, he's not picked up that memo yet, and he goes for it. But
he really does.
I feel like he does really suffer because it's like I said once again. What is his threat when the kid's still dealing with the dilemma between his two dads? He hasn't even decided whether he's even going to defend mankind yet. Seriously, someone tell me that I'm wrong. Am I the only one
you're
who's
not wrong. Totally.
He doesn't have any reason to defend the Earth until, of course, Zod comes along, which is quite convenient. His only problem previous to that is the secret. Like, the secret's above mankind. That's another problem with Kevin Costner's character. Almost like the secret's worth more than saving people. Like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. It's part
That's
of
not
it.
how the comics are written. That's not how the comics are written. They're written that he will sacrifice himself like a Jesus figure. They try to show him like a Jesus figure in this, but they take away all of that figure of sacrificing himself. They make it so that it's like he knows he's above everybody else, but with the great power and comes great responsibility. So I'm just going to pretend that I don't have these powers to save the world.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
no, you're not going to do that. You knew you were going to be something special from when you were young, and you're going to be something special. So get yourself ready, start saving lives.
that's it.
But no, I feel that Shannon's performance is not questionable. Is not questioned. I
No,
feel it's the writing of the three men that are the antagonist to Superman, which is of course his dad, his real dad, or his adopted dad, or Earth father, his real father, the Kryptonian dad, and then Zod himself. I feel like those three, there's not enough room in this film for the three of them. It should have either been one or two at
well,
most.
well, Zod was clearly not the problem, as you say. Michael Shannon went in there and gave the performance of a lifetime. He really done a good job, and his motivation, which I quite liked. You know, as I said at the beginning, do we really need another Zod in another Superman movie? But I thought the way he was written in this movie was really good because all the other versions I remember of Zod was kneel before Zod, you know, all that sort of thing. Smallville Zod, it was more about trying to find out who he's supposed to be and getting these powers. Obviously, he still harbors a grudge against Jor-El, but in this movie with Zod, his mission was quite simple: make a new Krypton, protect my people, no matter the cost. And I thought that was a good motivation for him. And at times, for me, even when I was watching Man of Steel, you kind of almost, I wouldn't say you rooting for Zod, but there's a little moments you kind of almost feel sorry for him in a way, especially when we get to why you feel sorry for him. But I thought Michael Shannon, he brought a lot of intensity and he brought a lot of emotion. And I'm kind of glad they didn't go with the whole traditional full beard. They just gave him a little goatee on the chin. At times, Zod looked like Julius Caesar from Gladiator. You know, he kind of reminded me of that character a little bit. That sort of like Julius
Yeah,
Caesar kind of figure.
I'll go with that. But
He
I'll
does
also
look a
say,
little bit like him.
where have these people come from? Like, I know that they're Kryptonian,
Mm.
but why didn't they come here 20 years ago? You know, maybe we should have had the Zod film before we had this film, so that then we can stop scratching our head after 20 minutes and say,
Yeah, they could have done that.
where does this guy come from? Why is Gamora? That is the question here. Why is this even a thing? How is this guy been flying around in a prison ship looking for Earth when there's been the most powerfulest being on Earth has been here for what, nearly 3 decades at this point?
Near enough.
That thing that's I was like, where's this guy been?
Yeah, no.
Why has it taken him so long? This should have been a villain for Superboy 15 years before this.
Yeah.
This should have been for a Superboy film. We should have got the Clark Kent origin story between him coming Superman. Zod is the first person that he takes on, and then he moves on to other people. This being an actual 30-year-old Superman taking on General Zod made absolutely zero sense due to the fact that we'd already seen it before, A, and B, once again, I'm saying it now. Where did this Zod guy come from? What was his motive? What was his thinking?
Well,
Was this the same thing that he was in the original movie? Because they never explained that to me. Of
no.
we need to take over the planet, etc. What was the goal here? What was the end game?
The end game for Zod in this movie, when I was rewatching it, was he was after this what's it, like a tesseract sort of thing, which was to help create a new Krypton, and it was harvested in Clark's DNA before he came to Earth. He was planted in his DNA by Jor-El and Lara. So that's kind of what Zod was looking for. Zod in the old Superman movies didn't really have a clear motivation. Was take over the world, kneel before Zod, yawn. No disrespect to Terrence Stamp, who did a great job there, but yeah, the writing for Zod in those Superman movies not great, but the writing for Zod in this movie, it was substantial. I wouldn't say it was the greatest, but at least you got a kind of an idea what he was after. He wasn't just all about taking over the world. Amy Adams as Lois Lane. We'll start with you. What did you think of her?
I think she's probably the best character in the whole film. Like, I
Really?
think she's probably,
You're probably the only
and
person who said that, you know?
I'm just about to say this. I reckon that my theory on this is probably alien to everybody else's. I thought that she was the best person in this film,
You're the
but it's
only
possible
person who's ever
I've
said
seen,
that.
I've seen her since this film. So it means that I've actually got to see this character develop. To be honest, she doesn't get in the way as much as some of the other characters have in the past. But yeah, I got it. This guy is an alien who lives among us with human nature. Love is not going to be something that this guy's going to be too familiar with. He
No.
falls in love with a woman. The rest of mankind is in danger. I've told you this before. Who is the hero? Batman even figured that one out with this guy. Like, is he a hero, or is this guy just so powerful that no one says anything to him?
Or they're too scared to say anything.
Do you need to stop other people, or do we need to stop you?
Yeah.
And this is the origin of that. This is where I'm seeing this now. Like, Lois is the only person, as you know this though, don't you? Lois is the only person who can really speak to this guy, can get through to this guy.
Yes. That's always been the case in every version of Superman.
She was the opposite. Her acting, Amy Adams, it didn't really matter. She was key in this film. This film could not be a film without her, good or bad. She had to be the person that she was in this film because it set the precedent of silly DC superheroes doing crazy things for the women that they're obsessed with. Something that you will probably never see in a Batman movie. And there you go. There's your answer to why has Batman been successful over the years, but other films haven't. Because you can have a love interest, but the love interest can't become above mankind.
No.
So she's key for me. She's probably the most important and actually the biggest and the most useful character for somebody who's watching this from my perspective in this film. Because without her, and I think Amy Adams knew this, I think she plays this role so conservative and different from the Lois Lane of the past, because she realizes that this isn't just a situation where Clark Kent loves Lois, so as Superman is willing to save her. This is Superman is obsessed with her.
Yes.
I think she played pretty sweet.
I think for me, with Amy Adams, obviously she played in Smallville years before in season one. She played a character who kind of like was like a parasite, but instead of stealing people's powers, she used to like drain off their body fat, where she would keep herself looking very pretty. So it was nice to see how she's matured from Smallville into Man of Steel, and I like the way Lois Lane was written in this movie. She wasn't just the damsel in distress who needs to be saved by Superman all the time. She was a lady doing reporting, doing investigating, and I like the way we see her throughout this movie. She's trying to look for this mysterious guy who goes around saving people, goes to the Arctic and follows him into the North Pole. I thought she was written very, very well.
She's very ballsy in this film. She's very ballsy. Yeah, she's very courageous compared to just Lois being a bit obnoxious in the original films.
Yeah.
But I would
Yeah.
also say this: these two look ridiculous. This looked like two 30-plus-year-old virgins realized the first time that they might actually have found somebody who might actually be interested in them in that way.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Lois and Clark bit of this was probably for me, I'm going to say this now, was probably for me the worst and corniest nonsense that I've seen involving any version of Lois and Superman. Because
It felt forced to me.
was like these two were like brother and sisters. Like honestly, these two were like brother and sister in this. Like maybe it was just me, but they look too old to play these roles.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the Lois and Clark should either be completely and utterly familiarized with each other. All this and ahhing around each other in the film. Why? You're like 40 years old. Surely you've known each other for, 10 years at this point, yeah?
Yeah.
This film was one of those films that suffered from people only just getting used to 720 and 1080p and stuff like that, the upgrade of quality and stuff.
Oh, the HD quality, yeah.
This film was one of those films that really suffered badly because these two did not look 26 years old and confused about what Superman and Lois would be if they was in love. These two look 40 years old.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, the whole relationship in the film with Superman and Lois, it just felt forced. It's just like, yeah, you're a hero, you got powers. Yeah, I trust you, and I think I like you. I'm like, well, hang on a minute. Why are we rushing to this relationship already? Surely we shouldn't get this relationship to at least the third movie. You know, it's just like, yeah, I like you, you like me, even though we don't know each other. But yeah, let's hook up. Okay. Yeah, they did look a bit older than they should be. I mean, especially Amy Adams. I mean, yeah, no disrespect to her, she done a great job as Lois, but
Look,
that's always been my problem with the casting of Lois. Lois always looks older than what she should look.
she looked 40.
Yeah,
But
I've
yeah, bro,
always had that problem. Now, that's always been my problem with the casting of Lois. Is every casting of Lois, apart from maybe two or three exceptions, Lois Lane always looks like 40 plus, and that shouldn't be the case. Like, I think the only people shows that got Lois's age kind of right, I would say, is probably the New Adventures of Superman with Terry Hatcher. Um, what's her name? Erica Durance in Smallville, and the recent the Arrowverse show with Elizabeth Tulloch as Lois Lane. But apart from those three, they always seem to get this wrong. It's like Lois shouldn't look older than Superman. Lois should look really young, at least 26 years old. But they just always make her look old. Or they don't, or if they don't do that, they always find someone who's older than what they should look. So yeah, I had that problem with that.
the female in the New Adventures of Superman, was that Terry Hatcher?
Yes.
Right. And then of course she went on to be the Desperate Housewives woman, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Years after.
That's the problem for me, because I felt like she played the same character, the pseudo tease, if let's just say. Do you know what I mean though? She
No,
played
of
that kind
course.
in that series, and then she went on to be in that.
Yeah.
But she was never completely clueless and stupid. That's one thing I'll give Lois credit for. You don't really get a damsel in distress Lois after the films, after the first couple films. I think even she started to play Lois a little bit more straight up after a little bit, didn't she? Because it just was ridiculous to have Lois Lane being played as such a damsel in distress sort of character. It doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
that kind of gets old after a while. But they just never seem to get that right. The age of Lois. It's like Lois shouldn't look older than Superman. She should look much younger. A lot younger. At least 26 or 27. But, you know, Amy Adams did a good job. I thought, you know, age looks aside, I thought, you know, she was really good in this movie. And as I said, it was great to see her as a reporter, asking questions, investigating, trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together about who this mysterious guy is who's going around saving people. Now, another person here doesn't get talked about much, and I feel this needs to be touched on. Diane Lane as Martha Kent. What did you think of the casting of Diane Lane as Martha Kent, Rex? What was your thoughts?
I mean, she was a sweet lady. She had to be sweet, of course, because of the female that had played Martha Kent in the Smallville series.
I still love
She
her.
had to be very sweet, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
of
she
course,
was
they
awesome.
even made her like what the opposite of Lois. They even made her look older in that series, didn't they? Because they said that she was too young to play Clark's mum in
Who,
Smallville.
Annette O'Toole.
Yeah, they made her look older with greyer hair in
Yeah,
the
that came
early.
after. Yeah, they grayed her hair up around about season when they brought her back in season 9. They grayed her up a bit, which was fine.
Well, originally as well, I believe that they tried to make her look a bit older in the early series, but it didn't. It just didn't work because it didn't make any sense. Like, of course, it didn't make any sense. Just have her as, you know, the person who she's supposed to be. But I thought she played the role well. I thought she was very, very much overlooked in this film. I thought
She was.
Kevin Costner just sort of just took that role up, and we know that that's nonsense. We know that Martha Kent is a very, very big part. Like, let's fast forward 10 years in their storyline, or 7 years, and he was killing the whole world because of the name Martha. So obviously, you know, we made a mistake somewhere.
Well, I mean, with Martha Kent, I mean, anyone who reads the old Superman comics, I mean, she has quite an important role in the older stories because she actually helped make Superman's costume from the blankets, but that was not really mentioned at all in this movie. Martha Kent, I thought Diane Lane did a great job for the little screen time that she had. Um, I thought it's quite weird because Diane Lane's supposed to play an old lady, but she actually looked more younger than Lois, if that makes sense. She looks a lot younger than Amy Adams' Lois Lane. But I thought, Diane Lane did a good job as Martha. She kind of captured that, that cornfield, you know, mumsy sort of character. So, oh, it's okay, sweetie. Mummy's here. I won't let anything bad happen to you. So I thought Diane Lane did a good job, but I would have liked to have maybe seen her have a little bit of a bigger role, maybe have a bit more screen time. But I thought the scenes that she did have with Clark Kent, I thought they were pretty decent. I think she had more life in her character than Kevin Costner's Jonathan Kent, because Jonathan Kent in this movie was just.
Do you feel that these two, and I'm just talking about the two characters, the mum and dad,
Mm,
feel that they had issues in this film simply because of the fact that these characters were played so well
that is the problem.
on Smallville?
Smallville.
Do you think that? Do you think that they worried? I mean, Kevin Costner screams, "This guy's got a name," but does anyone remember what his name was? Because his name was absolute dirt by the end of the 90s. Let's not forget that Waterworld, if I'm not wrong, Waterworld is one of the biggest box office failures ever, isn't it?
Considered to be the most expensive flop of all time because they
Yeah,
spent a lot of money on it.
exactly my point. So you got to tell me now that Waterworld is one of his biggest claims to fame, apart from him playing what? Robin Hood. Which now looking back on him playing Robin Hood, I'm not truly comfortable with him playing someone from my home city, supposed to be a British man. He doesn't play it very well, and his accent is terrible in it.
He also played with Whitney Houston, The Bodyguard.
That's his best film by
That was
far.
his best film, absolutely,
When
no
he puts
question.
Houston music in it, that it makes it such a good film. Like, well, it is a fucking great film. I won't even deny that is a very good film.
It
I'm
is. It's probably
not
his
taking
best film he's ever done, but I would say that's more down to Whitney Houston than him, if I'm honest. I wouldn't really say that was more.
and her being in the film, obviously, like the way that the film's portrayed, he has to carry that film because he's an actor, and she's not.
Yeah, he had the more experience, but she had the star power. So yeah, her star power carried the film, but his
He should
acting
never
chops carried it.
have either like that was his role, like the bodyguard. The annoyed dad who has to save his family. He should have been Liam Neeson before Liam Neeson became Liam Neeson, but he decided he wanted to be some kind of superhero. He was never built for that James Bond
I'll tell
uh,
you something. Now
vibe.
that you mention it, maybe Liam Neeson could have played a better Jonathan Kent. At least you would have cared more about him, because Liam Neeson, he can always make you care about his character, no matter how bad the writing is. It's just something about Liam Neeson's as a person and his acting. He can make you care about anything.
It's because he was Ra's al Ghul before, so they couldn't bring him back as Ra's al Ghul.
No, they couldn't, but he would have been a good choice. He still would have been a great choice. Cut his hair short, shave his beard off. He would have been a great choice. Now, Clark becoming Superman. I had an issue with this because, as I mentioned earlier, Martha Kent played a key role in the development of the Superman suit. Now, obviously, Clark, over the course of this film, learns about his origins. He meets the AI hologram of Jor-El, and boom, presto, there's the Superman suit. They're already in the ship. I had mixed feelings about this. I mean, what did you think about this scene? Because
I
it
mean,
felt rushed to me.
yeah, yeah. I was just literally going to say in what context, because the first thing for me is this scene felt out of place, and it did feel quite rushed. I mean, I just feel like this whole film, like, was the bits missing? Did they take bits out? Is this the start of the, oh no, we don't want to put that on TV? Was this the start of that? Because I feel like there are things that are just not explained in this film.
Not properly, anyway.
That don't make any sense. There's obviously, like you said, the Zod character, but there's also the other characters that are with Zod as well. They just seem completely overlooked in this.
Now, as I said, that Martha Kent's had a key role in the creation of the Superman costume, but here, costume's there already. I had an issue with this because this moment where Clark becomes Superman, obviously anyone who's watched the Christopher Reeve movies, him putting on the suit was a huge moment. Here, it was a huge moment, but it just kind of felt a little bit flat for me. What would you say?
Yeah, flat as a pancake. Like, I just feel like the film, whenever it tried to show any sort of form of emotion or tragedy or heartache, I feel like it just landed, you know, somewhere in that he didn't want to be.
Yeah,
I also feel that very in the opposite light of where we've said before, DC normally would swing for the fences. I feel like they didn't do that here. I feel like this was the start of, are they taking this seriously? Like, you already get that in this film. You don't have to wait 3 films or 2 movies to realize that they're not taking this seriously. You get that within 20 minutes, half an hour of this film kicking off. You get that sort of eye-rolling moment of, right, so I've already turned a blind eye on the fact that Zod is going to be the main character. I'm turning a blind eye on the fact that we've never seen this Henry Cavill play Superman before. And now you're introducing this stuff that feels out of place, very flat. But then we've spoke about this, haven't we? Do you think that they're seeing this as flat? The producers, I mean, because Snyder seems to have one way of looking at it. Like, obviously with Watchmen and 300, they had their own critics and they had their own positives and stuff. But I feel that once you get into messing with characters like Superman, you have to be very, very careful what you put on the screen. Nothing can be irrelevant, plot disaffective. You know what I mean? Like, everything has to suit what's happening for the Man of Steel or for Batman or for Wonder Woman. I feel once you start trying to do things differently from that, you have to be careful, because if it does fall flat like this does, this is the moment where you could just start rolling your eyes saying, oh, I can't watch this. And I reckon
yeah,
there would have been people that would have rolled their eyes at that moment and thought, they're not going to take this seriously at all, are they? If this came out in 2021, this would be much more hated.
it probably would have been. I feel that with Man of Steel, when I was watching it again, I mean, it just felt like this could have been like, I don't know, really. It felt like if you cut this movie up, you probably would have got maybe 3 movies instead of just the one. But it just felt like it was 3 movies just stuck together.
I
Like,
just
you
said
had
that. Well, I felt like there's big bits in the middle where there's things missing. Like, not, if you know what I mean. They did film this film, but I feel like we needed the Zod prequel. We needed his origin story being separate from him. And then the third thing needed to be him as an adult, completely embracing the Superman character, saving the world.
yeah, we should have
What
got that.
between all them is their own choice. But they chose to go with fully grown man having flashbacks to child who's got a dilemma whether he's going to become the Man of Steel, even though he clearly already knows he's got more power than anybody else in the world. It
Yeah,
didn't make sense. It really, really, really did not make any sense. And it's not the only thing in this film as well, sorry, but it's not the only thing in this film that's not going to make sense. There's quite a lot of things that I
yeah.
watched. This doesn't make any sense.
There was one scene, segueing to what you just said. Right, obviously Zod's made his presence felt, and I thought this was quite well done. Like, they should make it building up Zod's presence. Like when he was, "You are not alone." You see him on the TV screens, but you don't actually see him. It's just all this like scratchy, black and white sort of message. So I thought they did that quite well, building up Zod's presence and first official appearance after we saw him at the beginning. And Superman's brought up to Zod's ship. This was interesting because Superman's lived on Earth his whole life. He's adapted to the atmosphere. So he's on the ship, but the atmosphere is Kryptonian. And you see him collapse and he starts spitting out blood. This was just after he met Zod for the first time. What they could have done here, and I was really hoping they would have done this, but they didn't. But I wish they had done this. What they should have done was they should have had Superman join Zod's army, not as a heel, but just like, look, they're my people. I want to help them settle into this world. They've got nowhere else to go. But all the while, Zod's like manipulating him, goes, things like that. I would have liked to have seen more of that. So that way, when Superman does turn on Zod, then at least you've got a reason and a motivation for these two superpowered beings ready to go at it. I mean, what was your thoughts on, Superman and Zod meeting for the first time on Zod's ship?
I mean, it was the obvious, oh, so you're the guy. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, from both ends. You're the guy that my dad and everybody else have been telling me that I've been waiting for. And you're obviously the guy that's obviously from the same place that I'm from.
Yeah.
And in Zod's perspective, it's, oh, you're the guy. As in, you're the guy who's here with the same powers as me, and you're the guy who's potentially going to stop me. Once again, I'm going to go back to my original point. Where did Zod come from? Where has he been? Where is he going? Because he's obviously, this is not his last stop. What is the motive here? Why is Zod? Like, honestly, this scene, because you have to watch it subjectively, it was a pretty decent scene.
It was.
I can't get my head around why is this a thing? Like, and I'm gonna say this outright now. These are both heel characters, by the way. I'm sorry, but I just don't see Superman as this good guy that he's supposed to be. These are both heel characters, and I'm watching this and I'm thinking, well, who, for the first time ever, this is going to change, by the way, whose side am I on?
There you go.
Whose side is he on? There was none of that in this film. We haven't got there yet.
No.
I actually thought, well, whose side am I on? Because I was probably more on the Zod side. Like,
Yeah, you kind of do feel like that as the film goes along, that you start kind of rooting for Zod a little bit.
not even a little bit. I was fully on Zod's side at this point. I was like, I don't like this guy. I mean, I don't like him. Like, Zod, I can go mad and say, right, okay, he's just an evil guy. He's come to the Earth, Galactus sort of style. That we know about these threats from outer space. Fair enough. Even though it really annoyed me that we didn't get anything about Zod. Like, we got a little few cutbacks about what he was doing in the past and stuff like that. But it would have been nice to have known why Zod was doing what he was doing. Why was he even Zod? How did you get the power that you've got now, or the status that you believe that you've got, should I say? Not one of those things.
Yeah, there's some parts there didn't make sense. Like, okay, how did you get your powers? Because remember in the flashback that they were trapped in the Phantom Zone, and after Krypton exploded, it freed them from the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
Just little bits like that didn't really fully make sense to me.
Yeah, like it very convenient that was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think that was very convenient.
It was.
Oh, we need to get a Superman villain. Well, why don't we do Zod? Well, how are we going to bring Zod into it? We're just going to make up a load of nonsense.
And they expect everyone to buy it.
What else do you think we're going to do?
I know. Yeah, just certain things there just didn't make a lot of sense, really. And also, as we go along here, we get after Lois gets saved from Zod's ship and Superman saves her and all that, we get a big fight scene in the petrol station with Superman and Zod's army. I thought this was a pretty decent fight scene.
Because have got bigger names in the original film.
Mm.
They at least had names in the original film. I couldn't even tell you who these people are. Obviously, apart from General Zod, I couldn't even tell you who these characters are. They're not exactly, Lex Luthor and somebody else, are they? These are other people. No. I know that one of them is some kind of princess or some kind of queen, or, there's no idea of who these people are. The girl has got immense power, but we don't even get a name for her, I don't think, in this. I don't even know if she's even the same. I assume that she's the same as the short-haired woman from Superman 1 or 2 that's in there with him.
Oh, Yeah, I know who you mean. Zod's right-hand woman in this one. It's Faora.
Is that what her name is?
Yeah, she's from the She's actually from the comics. The lady from Superman 1 and 2. She was only in the movies, and I think they added her into the comics like much later. But yeah, Faora was an old Superman villain from the comics. She was like Zod's right-hand woman slash girlfriend, kind of.
She didn't have a place here. Honestly, she didn't have a place here. Like they put her in the original film because they didn't believe that Zod would be powerful enough to take on Superman because of the comic books, because people only knew Superman from the comic books. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, be honest with yourself here. Let's be perfectly real here. Like, we didn't need her in this film. She didn't
No.
need this film. Zod was portrayed as a very, very, very powerful enemy to Superman. Yeah, we didn't need her in this film.
No.
She didn't have any place in this film for me, in my opinion. Apart from, of course, to make Lois be in danger. Lois should constantly be in danger anyway because she's Superman's girlfriend. The
Yes.
should be clever enough to see through that nonsense. And like they say, with great power comes great responsibility, but it works both ways as well, because you also get the reason why Batman and these people don't have girlfriends is because it puts other people in danger.
That's right.
We didn't get any sense of that here. We got a sense that Lois is above the natural woman, which, like you say, it's nice to see that from the damsel in distress that we've seen before. But at the same time, because of this version of Superman being uber obsessed with Lois Lane, and not just the Clark Kent being secretly in love with Lois like we've seen in the past, yeah? This is Superman, the Man of Steel, being utterly obsessed at all points with Lois Lane. And like you say, and like I said before, it becomes almost dangerous towards it, and people start getting at risk and stuff like that. So there's more layers to this film than just because you. And I'm going to ask this question now. Have you ever seen the comic book adaptation of something be so loosely based on that you already know that we know who Superman is, but it's almost that this was very, very loosely based on the Man of Steel?
Well, I mean, some parts of Man of Steel are based on the New 52 DC universe, which was the reboot they did in the comics in 2011. And they took some elements also from a graphic novel called War of the Supermen, which is one of my favorite Superman graphic novels. They've taken little bits of that and they just put their own spin on things in the movie. But I wouldn't really say that, oh yeah, this is definitely from the comics. It's not really, because they just take little bits here and there and just, like we always say, take a bucket of paint and throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. That's kind of what it's like in this movie, I think.
This was dog mess. Yeah, they weren't throwing paint. This was throwing dog mess at the wall,
And see if it sticks.
seeing if it sticks. 10. What they call 10 pounds of dog mess in a 5 pound bag.
And it didn't work.
It didn't work. Nothing that DC did, apart from Wonder Woman after this, worked. I don't
No.
know why. I don't know why. I don't know why the same minds couldn't work out. And I still say, obviously I still blame Warner Brothers, but I
Oh,
don't know why the same minds between the Dark Knight Rises, Wonder Woman, and this year's Batman film, they have been so many misses in this thing, and this is one of the biggest ones. I don't think Cavill was that bad as Superman.
he was a decent Superman. I still like Brandon Routh, but I thought Henry Cavill did a good job of what he had to work with. It wasn't his fault. I think he put on a decent performance. I just think the writing was just not there for him.
I agree, the writing, and I also feel like they were quite scared of having Superman be portrayed in a certain way, like as in because of the Brandon Routh thing.
Mm.
I have a feeling like they actually feel like they felt like Cavill might not be enough to be Superman, and they were worried, but they didn't. We might not ever find that, but Zack Snyder, I'm sure, would not shy away from telling us the truth. How confident were Warner Brothers with Henry Cavill, not in the production, in the post-production. When they watch back and watch this film, do you think that they actually thought in their heads Cavill would definitely work, or did you think that they think, you know, I'd say they couldn't have been higher than a 6 out of 10.
Well, I mean, it's very hard to say, really. I mean, they must have seen something in him, otherwise he wouldn't have been cast in the role of Superman. But you know, I think what's hurt him was not his look. He had a great look. He looked the part. He looked phenomenal. Really got himself in shape. I think height-wise, he could probably be the tallest Superman we've ever had. I mean, Brandon Routh was quite tall, but Henry Cavill, I think, he's got like at least an inch and a half or two on him. I mean, I remember at the beginning.
Paid though, hasn't it? That's the thing, though. Like you say that they obviously wanted him to be thingy, and that's fine. But he's already been paid. Like, as in, I'm just talking about, like, because let's be fair, he never got a second film, did he? Like himself.
Brandon Routh didn't get Henry Cavill didn't get a second film.
I feel like Cavill was only brought back because they didn't have a replacement for him.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't really want him in Dawn of Justice. Like, you could just see, like, the mustache thing was a big problem, wasn't it?
Oh, that came after. Yeah.
That was a big problem. And I feel like, you know, maybe they realized they made a mistake with that. Like, I don't think he was that bad as Superman.
No, I didn't dislike him at all.
Like, they hated him as Superman. I feel like they do hate him, that he's got the Superman copyright and stuff at the moment. I feel like Warner Brothers probably hate him as Superman.
Well, I don't know why. I think, you know, watching Henry Cavill in his interviews, he's still very passionate about Superman. He still wants to do another Superman movie. He's often gone on record to say that I want to do another Superman movie and I want Brainiac in the movie as a main villain. I think he said he went to Warner Brothers and pitched that idea, said, how about we do a Superman movie with Brainiac? And they shot it down, said, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. It's because they can't get it right.
No.
They can't get right the Superman thing. It's weird. It's very, very strange. They just can't get it right. Like, I'd say that the Superman TV character is always, you know, always as popular as the movie Superman. It's the only character. Like, Batman obviously doesn't get a TV. They don't dare put him on TV.
No, it won't work now.
Any of the other characters that have ever been on TV, their characters have never been as close as what Superman's characters are for popularity.
No.
Like, you look at the adventures of Dean Cain Superman, and then you look at the modern Superman with this new guy, and you look at Brandon Routh. I'd say that Superman's probably the closest to being a TV character now than any of the top level superstars. Do you know what I mean? That's probably why they're so loose with the copyright to him. Maybe that's the reason why you will never see Wonder Woman and, you know, Aquaman and Batman on TV again. But the Flash and the Superman, they don't mind that.
No, because I think with those characters, especially someone like the Flash, they work better in TV formats, whereas Batman and Aquaman and Wonder Woman, they're more like larger scale films with bigger and higher budgets. But the budget for this movie was really impressive. I mean, say what you want, but you know, the budget was
a lot. Went all out.
They really did.
That's Warner Brothers, isn't it? Smash them over the head with a load of glitz and glamour, but then no one's going to question the actual film.
Yeah.
You know, Batman, what Batman Forever suffered from. It wasn't an overall terrible film, but the franchise where it went caused a lot of problems after. So, you know, in hindsight, looking back at Man of Steel, it's always going to be looked at worse because of what they did with the Justice League after this.
Exactly.
Imagine playing this up as it was a great start to the Justice League. It'd make the Justice League look even worse. But to be honest, in my opinion, this wasn't a great start to Justice League. This was a mediocre superhero film for the fact of the matter of the license being kept. That if you ask my deep opinion, I don't even see what this film has got to do with Superman. No. It's like a Lego Superman film. It's loosely based on a Superman character that I have ever seen. What, just because he's got powers and he's got lasers and because he wears a suit? I see no evidence of Superman in this film here.
No, and I don't want to sound corny here, but I'm going to point this out as well. I don't even think this Superman cracked a smile.
Doesn't have those type of emotions. This Superman was still at 35 years old, a fish out of water character like Wonder Woman.
You know, even Wonder Woman cracked a lot, smiled more than Superman, a lot more.
It's like the guy's got no idea. Like they're talking, the whole film's filmed like he landed on Earth 6 days ago, but
Yeah,
yet he's been here for years.
I know, it's just weird.
I mean, obviously, I'll let you drive it forward because I don't want to keep going back to the same old things. But I'll be honest with you, like when I first watched this film, I just thought it was a bad film. When I watched it the other day, I thought this film was completely and utterly unnecessary. Like, what were they thinking with the Superman license by making this film? Because it's not a bad film,
No,
but
it's
it's
not.
its own right. Production and glitz and glamour does not make a film good.
No.
You have to have the right scripting. There's many a film out there with high budgets and loads of explosions and stuff. Yeah, Michael Bay was great for that stuff. Doesn't
Yeah,
make those
that's
films watchable after you've taken away all the things. It's bad storylines, bad plots, bad issues.
no, totally. No, I see what you mean. No, I think with this Superman movie, yes, you got a lot more of what you didn't see in Superman Returns, but at the same time you didn't because okay, we got a lot more action, which is what Superman Returns didn't have, but Man of Steel didn't have a very strong story. But I would say Superman Returns, to a point, had a much more stronger story. Now, if we'd have got a bit of both in
And
Man of Steel, we might be having a different conversation here.
also had a better characterization of Superman because
Yeah,
that version of Superman clearly did have the reason to be fish out of water because it mentioned nothing about his time growing up, little bits and whatever. This film specifically hints on him having these powers when he was a child.
yeah.
But then 25 years later, because of the advice of his dad, this kid's still a fish out of water. Nonsense.
No, this just
One,
makes no sense.
honestly, like Brandon Routh's Superman was a bit ditzy and stupid, but I generally would have wanted him to save me. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have wanted this Superman to save me.
no,
Once again, are you the good guy?
you don't
You
look
know
like.
what I mean? Like, what? Because you can fly and you can fight and you can crow, but he can do that as well.
Plus, Brandon Routh's Superman, he actually had more of a personality than Henry
Yeah, and he
Cavill's Superman.
was an evil genius, which actually made you root for him because you couldn't root for Lex Luthor in that film. Yeah,
No, you couldn't, and you
this
wouldn't want to.
almost leaves you the heel versus heel thing. Like, well, who am I supposed to cheer for here? Like I said it earlier on. Whose side am I on?
Who do I cheer for?
Exactly. It shouldn't be like that.
Do I cheer for the military general, or do I cheer for the man in the red cape?
And they
Both
actually had
clearly.
this idea to take this film into Batman versus Superman. Well, we've already had a Batman versus Superman film because we had Zod versus Superman, and we couldn't figure out who was the bad guy.
I know.
We knew sorry, no, we couldn't figure out who was the good guy. None of them were good, but both of them seemed bad. There you go.
And they did things for bad reasons.
Oh, just in case there was anybody out there that was confused at Dawn of Justice, why was Batman going after Superman? Here is the example. They made Superman look like an untrustworthy, dangerous guy who killed human beings at the rate of, a sadistic thing just to be able to save one woman. Who's the
For one
problem
body
here?
count for one lady.
Who's the problem here? Is it Dodd or is it this lunatic here?
I know. Yeah, it's just madness. So, obviously, throughout this film, Superman has all of Zod's army sent away to the Phantom Zone. He saves Lois, and obviously, we see Metropolis get absolutely decimated, and we see Zod just standing there holding like I think was it a pile of dust or ash or something. And this is the moment we was talking about earlier where you almost feel sorry for him, where you hear Zod cut this amazing speech because we could have built a new Krypton and you took that away from me, and you see Superman You see, if this was Brandon Routh's Superman, he could have said that, no, Zod, this is not the way to do it. There had to be another way. But this Superman, he just stood there like, yeah, and just didn't show any remorse.
The insane ramblings of a much more believable character.
Mm,
Like it's all, everything that he's saying is insane. Of course it is, but he was more believable. I don't know if it was Shannon's acting over Cavill's acting because I didn't really see it like that. I seen it as in the writing was bad.
yeah.
Like the Superman character is almost unlikable in this. That's why I
Or,
say, was he Superman in this? What was he actually Superman in this, or was he just the Man of Steel? Because I would say this Superman is by far the most unlikable Superman, even outside of Superman 4, which is a really bad Superman film. Yeah,
yeah.
this Superman is unlikable, bro. Unlikable. Not saying it's anything to do with Cavill's acting.
No, no, no,
It's
no.
not a writing issue. I honestly think it's more to do with the fact that they didn't seem to understand Superman is a thing of all light and all good.
He's respected by everyone.
Batman, you don't have him drawing the lines and questioning his loyalty.
No.
Superman acts on impulse to save the world. Batman acts on impulse to save things like Gotham City. There is a small difference. They're both capable of doing their own thing, but the signs are here. Like, for instance, they say, and this is what really irritates me, they say that they never planned the DC universe until leading up to Dawn of Justice. I think that they look back on this film and realize that they turned Superman into such a villain in this film that there was no way that they would be able to do anything next. Maybe Snyder wanted to do Dawn of Justice, and to deliberately get Dawn of Justice as a thing, maybe he shown Superman in a more dark or negative light to get fans behind a believable version of a guy like a Batman versus Superman, because you've always got to remember that even Batman versus Superman was a risky film. To have one hero take on the other was a risky film, yeah? But I feel like they didn't realize that until after they watched back. Surely I cannot be the only person in 2022 by this stage now, 9 years later, that has looked at this Superman film and said, well, he's not a good guy. Show me.
Tell us he is, though.
The child is a good guy. Superman, when he's Superboy, when he saves the kids in the school bus, and when he saves all the people on the burning oil rig, that's the hero, yeah?
Yeah.
But as soon as he puts on that suit, there is no sign of that guy. It's the guy who wants to save Lois. Family and Lois come first. To explain something different.
Lois.
Say something different. You tell me. You know this film more than me, yeah? Like, I got nothing out of this film that says that the full-fledged version of the blue suit Superman in this film was willing to save people. He wasn't. He was willing to save Lois, and he was mad because he didn't save his dad.
Yeah, that seems to be more or less the grievance here for him. So I couldn't save my dad because he told me if I saved him, it would have exposed me to everyone. I just thought, well, you got super speed. You could have just sped right over there. No one would have seen you. You're supposed to be fast. Flash would have saved his dad.
You know what? You've just reminded me of something that I thought of earlier on, and I apologize to all people if this offends you, but I feel like they treated Superman like he was gay in this. Not because of his sexuality, because of the way that they approached the Superman being an alien, being outside, like people won't accept you. I understand that. But they did to treat him like he was gay or he was of color or what, you know what I mean? Like,
well, what they were trying to go for in the story, and I think they had the right idea for the story, but I just think they didn't execute it well. They wanted to tell a story about what if Superman existed in the real world? How would the public respond to him? Would it be positive or would it be negative? And they had the right idea for it, and I think that's a story that could have been told very well in a nice trilogy if done right. So you could have had that thing where every time Superman saves the world, there's consequences up. The city getting damaged, people getting hurt.
The Zod thing would have been perfect for this storyline, or to have Zod's origin story instead of Superman's, but then it's half Superboy, half General Zod. So as General Zod's fighting and being whatever General Zod was before Krypton ended, we then get flashes to Clark growing up in Metropolis and saving Smallville and saving other kids, all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that as your first film. 2 years later, your second film is where he meets Zod, but there's no conflict between him and Zod. Like you said earlier on, maybe he even joins Zod. Very much like you know, the whole Nazi premise or premise. He realizes, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like what you sold to me in the first place. That sounds like something much more barbaric and completely against the human rights. Yeah, that's what should have happened. We should have got the whole good guy and the bad guy group storyline. Yeah, in the
They did
second
do that in
movie.
the comics.
Then in the which is even worse that we didn't get that. And then in the third movie, we should have got the full-on Superman war where he is actually defeated by Zod. In that third movie, Zod wins, yeah, and then Superman's got no choice but to find help. And who does he get help from? Batman, Wonder Woman. Would have made so much more sense if that would have been that. And then at the end of the movie, you get an appearance from Lex Luthor, and he's the one who designs Doomsday, and then you get Doomsday, not in Dawn of Justice. That the villain in Dawn of Justice should have been probably Zod then.
Well, obviously
Then
that's
they
going to
could
be
have
for a separate review for another time. But yeah, I definitely see where you're where you're coming from with the whole thing, because in the comics, Superman joined Zod's army for a while, and he became Commander L.
they could have built Zod
And they
as
could have done
the most powerful, with obviously Clark by his side at first. They could have made Zod the most powerful person in the DC universe before he'd actually even come into conflict with Superman. But what they chose to do was do the usual. Obviously, as you can tell, they must have been petrified to have even suggested a sequel, which is why he never got a proper sequel. They must have been scared to have ever even thought about a sequel, because it's too obvious. Like, were they not thinking to the next year? Like, honestly, I know I've been really negative in this review, but I have to be honest and say this is one of the only movies that I've ever seen that's been based on a character that's already developed and already clearly established, where you can clearly tell that there was no one sitting in that room saying, well, are we going to be making a sequel? Almost like they knew, well, the only way we're going to have this situation survive is we invite into our universe multiple different characters from outside of this situation.
to take the heat off him.
And it's nothing to do with Cavill. Like I say, I don't want to think that it's his
No,
performance
of course not.
of this film just seems A, rushed, B, wrong, C, this was clearly to capitalize on the popularity of the Dark Knight trilogy. Obviously, they didn't know they had a trilogy at first, so there's no way that they would have known that the trilogy would have become a thing. They just knew that they were filming a third film, and by the time that third film came out, they realized what kind of a hit that the third film was. They'd actually recast a load of characters and stuff like that in Batman, but it didn't work here. It didn't work here. Like, you know, overall, the premise of this film is, for me, a copyright keeper.
Clearly.
This was just them keeping the copyright away from other people.
As we move along here, because kind of getting near to the end of Man of Steel slowly, what did you thought of the fight scene with Zod and Superman?
Fight scene with Zod was incredible. It was exactly what it was
It's like
supposed
Dragon
to
Ball
be.
Z level, wasn't it?
It was incredible scene. Like I said, I'm taking nothing away from the actual spectacle that this film was. And in the cinema, this must have been incredible.
It was. I remember when I watched it in the cinema, and when Zod like shoulder barged Superman, he says, "I'm going to take everything away from you." I remember sitting and thinking, "Oh, all right, here we go." And I thought to myself, "This is exactly what I wanted to see in a Superman movie. Just two super beings, both on equal footing, both equal powers, just going at it." And I loved it. It reminded me of the graphic novel I talked about earlier, War of the Supermen, Superman versus General Zod, and it was really well done.
When I say, if you were to go into Dawn of Justice, having watched this film like I watched it, as Superman being potentially the bad guy, you would probably enjoy Dawn of Justice a lot more when you realize, oh,
That makes
right.
sense.
So Batman is the hero, not the arrogant guy who's paranoid because he's got too much money, like they portrayed him as.
Mm.
Batman is the hero who is fearful of this absolutely lunatic alien who will sacrifice the lives of multiple people to save his pseudo girlfriend, he has no chemistry with, by the way. Yeah.
No.
Now, obviously, I know that's Amy Adams and Henry Cavill. They probably realized halfway through that they were cousins or something. Who knows? No, you know what? Honestly, I don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful, but she seems like she farted at some point halfway through filming, and he made a comment, and she just was like having a discussion with this guy. Because aren't I right to say that she was like a comedy actress before? She was in a few like comedy films, wasn't she?
I don't remember him being in any comedy films. Not that
Maybe
I know
one,
of.
and I just remember her being not bland, but way too serious for the roles that she was in. And she finally got this role as Lois Lane. And then I watched her with Cavill, and I was like, oh my word, she must have been in tears every night when she left for it. Because there's no chemistry here. Can't be blind to this. Cannot be blind to the fact that they don't have any chemistry. Their relationship seems fake, to be honest. And then when you look at, say, the whole structure of Man of Steel, it is literally just a sacrificial. We are all sacrificial lambs, the 120,000 people that died, so that he can save Lois.
Yeah.
It literally just breaks down to that at the end of it. And what do you think about that? Or do you think that their goal was to show that Superman puts lives before his own? Well, he obviously didn't put the lives of those thousands of people that he let die,
No, clearly
and
not.
including.
No, I didn't feel that. For me, who's watched near enough every incarnation of Superman, especially with Superman and Lois, I didn't feel Henry Cavill and Amy Adams as Superman and Lois. I don't think they had great chemistry. I mean, yeah, acting wise, they put on decent performances, but together, I don't think they had
Good at
great
acting.
chemistry.
Maybe they were both too good at acting. One of the things that I would always say that criticized Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher was the fact that none of them were fantastic actors. They were clearly two people that weren't good enough to be in films, that had tried to be in films in the 90s, hadn't they? 80s and 90s. And they didn't seem good enough to be in films, but they were higher than your average TV star.
Yeah.
And I feel like they bounced off each other really well in that series.
They look good together, though. Got to give them credit. They did look good together.
This film, I look at Amy Adams. You mean Amy Adams and Henry Cavill look good together?
No, Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher did look good together.
Hey, Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, they are almost like pin-up posters. You'll
They
never get
were
a better
actually
look
at one point.
man, I don't think, and you'll never get a better looking Lois Lane than you did. But that's because that's what they wanted that to be, didn't they? They wanted them to
Yes.
be, because that was Lois and Clark. It wasn't just about Superman, yeah. Like Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman. They wanted it to be focused around Terry and of course Dean Cain.
Of
But
course.
it's weird years later to see that all that's been forgotten about, and now what we get is just this stiff robot version. Because let's be fair, Superman's like a robot now. Like Cavill's version of Superman is played deliberately because they tell him to, like a robot. Like, you're not from this world. You are an alien robot who's come from elsewhere. That's never the Superman that I remember.
No.
I remember Superman being human as much as any other human is human. Just because he wasn't from here, he was still born here. And remember, the whole premise around Superman was like me being mixed race. Like, just because I'm not, my dad and my mum are not technically British or English, it doesn't make it so that I'm not from here. I was born here. So why have I not got just as many rights as anybody else? But characters like Superman were created as well to counteract prejudice and stuff like that. And I feel that this film shows none of that. This film actually almost accentuates it, as in, like, you won't ever be accepted for what you are. It was
No,
almost like it tried too hard to avoid the stereotype, but then hit the nail on the coffin with, you can't save me, your dad, because people will hate you. No, they'll look at you like anybody else would look at you and realize, if I was a superhero or superpowered being, the one person that I would probably save to expose myself is either my mum or my dad. There you go. Why would he not expose himself in that position? He would have. You would have, Warhawk. I would have. You
Yeah.
definitely would have exposed yourself in that position. So now to build that, and then for later in the film to have him almost putting other people at risk, to have that moment. Do you know what I mean? Like,
No,
you're
totally.
putting people at risk, but you could have done that with your dad an hour ago. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just wound up
No,
because
no, not at all.
this was the start. They royally messed things up after the Dark Knight, and this was the start when I was really like, "What am I supposed to just like this because it's a Superman film?"
Well, there is one moment after the big, massive, epic battle with Superman and Zod, which as we said earlier, was absolutely fantastic.
But then the film's basically hanging on a thread by that.
Yeah, I mean, you had the big battle. It was like watching Goku and Vegeta going at it.
Knew it was coming, but it would have been better if Zod would have had Superman fight against the girl, and Zod escaped, and then you knew you were getting a sequel. I feel
Yeah, maybe we could have got
that
that.
it was rushed. I do feel that the whole Zod storyline to bring back Zod again, but not to do the arc with Zod. I feel they missed out on a massive step, and I feel having Superman kill Zod as well was
I
another
was
big.
just going to get to that.
Wait, hold on a minute. Does Superman kill?
Right. Now, obviously, Superman killing Zod, it was very controversial. Now, anybody who's read Death of Superman knows that he killed Doomsday. But what happened? What you had a moment there was it wasn't a case of Superman killed Doomsday and that's it. They knocked each other out at the exact same time.
Plus, can
About
you
a minute
actually say
longer.
Doomsday?
Yeah.
Was he really a real, you know, even humanized alien? No, he was
No,
a
no, no. Of course he wasn't.
creature. Yeah,
Doomsday is a
Zod.
soldier. Doomsday was a soldier.
Zod was a fully fledged humanoid alien.
Yes.
So to kill him means you are capable of killing any human, as far as I'm concerned. That's a big problem to me, man.
You see, Superman
Even just having
killing.
even just having him, we're not holding him accountable for the deaths that have happened to all of the humanity. But on top of that, we're also having him kill. You know what I mean? Like seriously though, Warhawk, I left this film yesterday, and I not yesterday, the day before, on Monday night, and I left this film, and I honestly thought, well, this version of Superman isn't a hero. He's a killer. Is a mass murderer inadvertently, and he's a killer. This Superman is very Hitlerish, if you ask me my opinion. He's got no link to our humanity. That's not right. That's not right. I don't understand that. I was always under the awareness that Superman had that Charles Xavier thing. That he might not be able to hear us screaming and crying, but he certainly knew when humanity was in a bad place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Superman killing Zod was the wrong move. I think what could have happened is you could have just sent Zod back to the Phantom Zone, leave the door open for Zod to potentially return, as you say, for a sequel down the road if they were going to do a sequel.
Why
I
not just
just,
have Lois? Why not just have Lois kill him and go all full ball?
oh dear. Yeah, I mean, it shocked me at the time.
Yeah, still just to just screw with people's head. Why not have spent an extra bit of money and had Perry White for what's it transform into Morpheus halfway through the film, and then we can get a dilemma of do we take the red pill or do we take the blue pill? Because
Oh
this
no.
is seriously questionable at how we had one of the biggest superheroes kill somebody in the film.
Yeah, yeah, it was very shocking. I mean, yeah, obviously Superman has killed before in the comics, but that's different with Doomsday because Doomsday
So,
is not actually a real person; he's a monster.
not in the films. Not in the films, bro. This
No.
guy was driving. This is me being honest. This guy lost one person, and he flew back in time and he changed the forces of gravity, which is obviously impossible. changes the laws of gravity and, you know, whatever else to turn
Yeah.
back time to get Lois to come back alive, which obviously nothing would have worked like that. Christopher Reeve, I mean, he was dead when this was filmed, yeah?
Yeah, he'd already been dead for about nearly
Yeah,
what?
he would have been
Nearly
his
10
grave
years. Nearly 10 years.
to have seen. Right, so this guy's killing people. He's clearly got no feeling towards natural humanity. Like, once again, I know I keep going on about this same thing. I can't understand how Superman was being portrayed like Batman when I haven't even seen Batman that reckless towards humanity before.
No, of course not.
Batman will kill himself to save humanity, even if people don't want Batman to save them. But Superman is a given, isn't it? He can save us all, yeah? In this film, honestly, the question that I need to ask you is, if all this be real, Warhawk, and all this be taking place, would you honestly be confident of Superman coming to save you right now if you were in trouble?
Hell no.
Like, you'd be scared to death. Like, is he going to save me, or does he save people like some kind of Joseph Fritzl sicko? Are you saving people so that you can then justify killing a load of us later down the line? Because I've got to ask the question of this. More than that, and I know I'm talking a lot, and I apologize to anyone who is sick of hearing my voice right now, but I have to ask the simple, logical question to
That's
Zack
all
Snyder
good.
and one of his producers. How many people had Superman saved at this point? We can say maybe if he's saving maybe 5 people a day, he wouldn't have saved, as the friendly neighborhood Superman, he wouldn't have saved as many people as he would have probably have killed in that one full swoop. Yeah, would you agree with that?
No, totally.
The amount die at the end of this film, or it seems dies at the end of this film, do you think that Superman has saved that many people?
No.
Because it's always like planes and boats. So how many 500-seat planes has Superman got to stop from falling out the sky to make up for this one? Maybe it's just me looking too much into this, but I
No,
just
no,
find
no, no.
it's ridiculous. Like, how can you have Superman not only kill people in the film, but he actually recklessly just watched and caused multiple people to die? And I know that in all of the films, Avengers, everything, you have to leave the film with the biggest question of, yeah, but what about the people that we didn't see die?
That's it.
Yeah, there's clearly got to be collateral damage. Yeah,
Yeah.
but this film does not shy away from the collateral damage. Whereas maybe some of the Batman films in the past have sort of shied away from, oh, how many people is this guy going to take out before we realize that he's actually technically hurting a lot of human beings and people that he shouldn't be hurting while he's fighting against this lunatic? You know, we knew this with Batman, we knew this with Spider-Man, we knew it with all the Marvel DC characters. But this film just has reckless abandon for humankind.
Yeah, I can't
Oh,
imagine the body count in this film.
alien, so he doesn't have to care about the humans. Well, what's the whole point of him being Superman then?
Another thing as well, because we're getting near to the end of the movie, I don't think he was ever called Superman once.
I don't think that he is Superman in this film.
He was never
He's
called Superman.
an amalgamation of the Man of Steel and Superboy. He's never become Superman in this film yet. Like, because I reckon this, for him to become Superman, he certainly wouldn't be killing, and he certainly would. Listen, what did Batman say? No guns, no killing.
That's right.
If Batman doesn't kill, and we already question Batman for his potential body count in some of his films, because we might not see people dying on screen, but we know that you could not, out of 100,000 people that were involved in a massive landslide or earthquake that was caused by the Batmobile, we both know that there are going to be multiple casualties, regardless of how many people Batman actually saves. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have never seen a Batman film draw attention to itself of Batman being completely and utterly reckless towards society like this film did in this. And like I said, at the end of the day, it breaks down to the fact he doesn't get referred to as Superman because he's not Superman. This is a bad guy. I would argue if this is even a Superman film. Honestly, in your opinion, you've been watching and reading and thinking as long as most people have, Warhawk. In your opinion, close your eyes and tell yourself, seriously, is that Superman that you see when you close your eyes? Is that Superman?
No.
Because it's not.
Not completely, no.
It looks like it, but the actions are all wrong. The behavior's all wrong. The reasoning and the drive behind Superman is completely wrong, because I've never known Superman to be that obsessed with Lois that he will let other people die to save Lois. That never happened in the original films.
No, not even close.
It's the Clark in Superman that saves Lois. It's not Superman, it's Clark that saves Lois in those first films.
That's what it's always been about from the beginning. So as we come towards the end, we're wrapping this up now. As we come towards the end, after Zod's had his neck snapped, we see Superman tells the government that he wants to act independently and lets him work on his own terms. And then we see Clark come to Metropolis officially and works at the Daily Planet with Lois Lane, which allows Clark to keep a more closer eye on the dangerous situations. And we see him actually don the iconic glasses.
I have to be very subjective. Absolutely, I am not leaving this with that.
No,
he doesn't. They say that he goes to Metropolis to keep an eye on things. Warhawk, what is he really going to Metropolis to keep an eye out on? Lois, and Lois only. The end of this film gives a clear, massive, open Batman issue indication this guy is willing to kill multiple people to save this girl.
Pretty much.
That's why Batman's got an issue with him later down the line. That's why I've got an issue with him now, because I'm like, huh? No. Not only are you coming across as a creep because you're stalking this girl, and she's not even all that, yeah? She was never a redhead before, so I don't know why she's a redhead now, yeah?
Some versions of the comics, she had red hair, but I've always known Lois to have black hair.
Black, or at least dark hair, yeah?
At least dark hair, yeah.
Yeah. And this version of Lois is almost like a powered person. She's firing lasers. She's doing stuff that Lois never did.
Yeah.
Seriously, I am saying it now. This Superman has no redeemable qualities. He's just a guy who is out to save the woman that he loves. That's not Superman. I don't know what this is. This is not Superman. I think we can see this as Loverman, because this isn't the same guy. Honestly, I have to keep repeating this. There's no motivation in this guy. He hasn't got any good in him. It's all just about Lois. So, in other words, you're telling me that because you've got all this power, if Lois is being an utter evil person to somebody else, it's okay because she's got Superman to protect her. That's nonsense. That's how this film is portrayed.
Yeah.
That she wants because he will protect her. They're not good guys. They're the Triple H and Stephanie McMahon of the DC universe. They're heels. Honestly, they're heels. She controls it. She wears the trousers, and he does the bidding.
Pretty much, more or less.
Don't be able to come any different after what I seen the other day. I will never trust Superman as long as I live. So sorry to the Superman fans out there, but your character is a bad guy, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, my Superman's still the DCEU. That's my Superman.
He's more of a bad guy in this than what he is in Dawn of Justice, according to Batman. I generally think that this Superman is just not, well, he's not Superman at all. This is as close to a alternative, bizarro, nuclear man, sort of, oh, this powerful guy who's got loads of power, but he's not doing anything good.
No.
He's not helping anyone. She causes that. At the start of the movie, he's willing to save other families. He's willing to save his friends. And then between his dad and her, something changes in him. Like he's almost scared to lose anyone. So he'll now go full bore and he'll kill multiple people to save her. Whereas before, he let his dad die because of what his dad told him as a kid.
Yeah, I still didn't like that, the way his dad died.
Hated it. Absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
I told you when I said the Kevin Spacey thing that I didn't like part of that Superman Returns. So I didn't like some of that. It was nowhere near as bad as this.
No, not even close. So as we now officially wrap up Man of Steel, we're going to rank this movie. Rex, we kind of know what you already thought of this movie. You gave it a 3 out of 10, didn't you?
I'm giving it a 3. I am, and I'm not moving from that. I'm giving it a 3.
No, not at all. I'm going to probably give it... I'm not giving it... It's not 10 out of 10. definitely not. Absolutely not. Nowhere near. I would probably give this movie probably 3 out of 10 as well.
It was bad. It was bad. It's nothing to do with the production. The production in these films is automatic. It's become automatic. All films since 2012 have been, reasonable quality, reasonable production, reasonable money's been spent on these films, yeah?
Correct.
But what they put down, I swear they must spend a quarter of the budget on Class A drugs and a lot of top level liquor. Because about 5 minutes to one of these DC films, it's like they forget what character they're talking about. Why is this Superman Batman?
I don't even think Batman would go this far.
The premise of this Superman has got the same feeling what I want from a Deathstroke character, which obviously every time we do one of these reviews, I have to mention that I'm desperate for a Deathstroke series.
I wouldn't say no.
This is exactly what I would want from a Deathstroke character. I'm not all bad, but I'm certainly not good.
No.
3 out of 10, no more, unredeemable, not completely unwatchable. Budget and all that does not save this. It doesn't save this from being just a bad film.
No, I totally agree. I'm giving this 3 out of 10 as well, and I'm sticking with that. I mean,
I reckon it would have been great at the cinema to watch this, having not seen a Superman for a while, etc. But undeniably, the moment that you must have seen this on DVD, you must have thought, have I seen this before?
I knew what I was getting myself into when I saw it again, but I had
Do you regret watching it second time?
No, I don't regret it. No, I don't regret it, not at all. But I had issues with it.
That girl that you went cinema with, she must have been something special. I'm saying she either must have been something special because you were either distracted throughout the whole film.
No, I was watching it all the way through.
Or you generally just, like I say, was excited because you hadn't seen a Superman film in a while. Because I'm just sorry, but I look at this and I think, I can see why this looks like a good film. But
Yes.
I can't see what anyone's watched when watching this film that says, this is like somebody put up a video and said, oh, I've changed my mind on Man of Steel. So, I've changed my mind on Man of Steel, all right. It's way worse than I thought it was. They're saying that it's better. Maybe I'm just looking at it from a difference. I didn't see this at the cinema, so I just didn't have any basis on it. I couldn't believe how bad this was compared to The Dark Knight Rises. I was like, what? Maybe, just maybe Cavill will get one more crack at it.
Well, I hope so. He deserves another shot at redemption, but unfortunately, it's not up to him. It's up to the powers that be, aka Warner Brothers. But yeah, 3 out of 10, definitely.
It doesn't deserve any more than that. They've insulted your intelligence with this. When you watch it, and you look at it, and you look back, and you think, holy moly! When you look at the 5 or 6 hours between this and Suicide Squad and then Dawn of Justice, you don't have to wonder why they messed up the Justice League. You can see it, blatantly see it. Like, these people do not know what they're doing. I don't think it's even Snyder's fault. I think this was more, once again, Warner Brothers interfering.
Maybe Snyder takes a bit on the chin, but not much.
You've got no power. You know this. You know this deep down. It doesn't matter who you are. See, Steven Spielberg, any of them could have got the DC licensing over the last 25, 30 years. These people, these executives, the patterns are always there. The character has to be tweaked. Has to be a different version of the character. We then have to contradict everything that the character's been built around for the last 30 years. These are all signs of Warner Brothers interfering. Now, I'm not just going to straight up say, I'm just going to go with my gut instinct that tells me what's normally the reason why these types of films fail in the DC universe, because Warner Brothers gets too involved. And I'm putting it down to that again here.
Yeah.
Like, overall, looking back, I think that people see these films as a failure.
Yeah, I see it totally. No, definitely. Shame, really, because
it is a shame. See, for me to sit here and talk negative about it than it would be for me to talk positive. But, listen to our review of the Batman. And we went into that worried sick. Honestly, I don't know about you, but I went into that Robert Pattinson Batman worried sick. They were going to mess that stuff.
I'm so glad it came out good.
film, because of that film. I genuinely had anxiety because of that film. Yeah, but that film is a masterpiece compared to this.
Oh, absolutely. There's no comparison. There's just absolutely no comparison, no competition. The Batman walks over Man of Steel 10 times over. But it is a shame because Superman in the right hands could be a classic for a
Who was
modern
the director of that film? Who was the director for this Batman film that's just been up, that's just come out?
Matt Reeves.
Just way different. Just a way different outlook. Like, maybe Batman's just easier, but you can't convince me that Christopher Nolan and Matt Reeves have just got it right. But all of these other characters, except Wonder Woman, have had this rocky, up and down production road issues. And then if you can't in the second Wonder Woman film, there you are. Oh, there we are. None of these characters can't have anything positive without them stripping it down right down to the bones and trying to basically laugh in the faces of the people that actually buy the films.
Well, that's true. You know, Wonder Woman 84 wasn't perfect, but it was still enjoyable. It still had some
But then
good
when
qualities.
you stand it side by side with the first film, it's bad. But obviously,
It
I still think
is.
Wonder Woman 84 is a good film. Well, if me and you were to sit here and compare it to Wonder Woman the original, they are night and day. Wonder
Oh,
Woman the original, I would argue, is probably still the best. Outside of the Batman films, I'd say the original film is probably the best DC film
oh, the
out of
first
them all.
one's probably the
It's
best
not.
DCEU movie ever. So that's going to be it from us. We're going to wrap this up now. What was your thoughts on Man of Steel? Did you enjoy it? Do you agree with me and Rex's comments? Do you think this was a bad Superman movie, or do you think this was a good Superman movie? Was there any moments in this movie that you had issues with? And where would you rank it with the other Superman movies and within the DCEU? Or is there something that you might have missed out on that we didn't talk about? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. Rex, this has been a very different kind of review for us, but a pleasure as always, talking about this very controversial DCEU movie.
It's been a pleasure. We've been waiting to do this one for a while. You know, I apologize for anyone who doesn't like to hear my voice. You would hear that a lot in this review by now. If you're still around by now, then you've heard it a lot. I also apologize to the fans that were possibly looking to tune into some form of a positive review. But no, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm going to be perfectly honest to say here is a filter-free zone. I have no filter when it comes to these things. If I didn't like it, I don't like it. But at the same time, you know, if you're a fan of Superman, please do not come after me. I can't be bothered with your negative comments about whatever. This was not a good film. If you've got time to watch this film, focus on what's, focus on your own stuff. Because I'm telling you now, I could honestly go, I could probably go another half an hour talking negative about this film, to be honest.
So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening. And Rex, a pleasure as always.
Peace out, guys. Stay safe. Shout out to you, Warhawk.
Right at you, brother. And bye for now, guys, and take care.